And welcome to Off the Couch, where psychology meets everyday life. This is Dr. Greg Cason, psychologist. I'm here with producer Brian Gomez.
Happy Monday, you guys.
And we have a special guest today. Our special guest, special introduction yet again. Hold on to your seats, folks, because the stage is about to be set on fire by an unstoppable, unapologetically hilarious. Oh my God, I'm nervous. I'm so sorry, Monique. I'm nervous. Unapologetically hilarious. I mean, for God's sake.
Unapologetically.
An utterly fabulous force of nature that is Monique Marvez. She is the comedy queen who...
Wow.
Thank you. She is the comedy queen who serves her wit with a side of sass and a dash of truth serum. Now, whether she's roasting the ridiculous or serving up raw reality, Monique will have you rolling in the aisles and questioning your life choices. So without further ado, let's welcome the woman who proves that laughter really is the best medicine, Monique Marvez.
Wow. Now, was that ChatGPT again?
And it was ChatGPT and Greg 2.0.
I love it. It got better.
Well, thank you.
Every week it gets better. And I love every month. And I love that this is my third time here.
This is
you
number
still
3.
think of me as special guest.
Well, BFF too.
Yeah, right? Okay, can I just say how much it meant to me that you showed up to see me live on a school night late?
It was a school night. It was late, and I was so exhausted. I thought I was going to fall asleep driving over there, and it was the funniest thing. I was so blown away by you, by your performance. I was like, she just has command of the room. In fact, what's interesting about you were sitting off to the side in the audience, and it was almost as if there was a spotlight on you. You just glowed from across the room. But then you got up on stage and just smashed, like from the moment you stepped up there. So
thank you.
It was incredible. I do regret that I had to leave after your set, though. I felt like that was bad.
No, the guy after me, he was not good.
Really?
No, the poor fella. He has this weird performance art stuff, sort of like an Andy Kaufman thing.
Oh.
And after something that it's as real and connective as I am, it was the choice of lineup of putting him after me was very challenging for him. I'm sure in another setting he'd be hilarious, but that kind of performance where it's all about almost like detached performance art came across peculiar because I'm so in your face and connected and in the moment with you. So it wasn't the best placement to have him after me. So you actually did well.
Well, that was exactly your unique appeal because it feels like you're just there with you having a great conversation. Still a little bit separate from watching maybe a comedian perform. You felt like you were hearing a good friend tell you a hilarious story.
Yay!
So
then I got it right because that to me, and when we get up to our topic, I'm going to continue on the same vein because I had a conversation this morning with a new bestie where I told her that on my 40th birthday, I always like to say that I spent my 40th birthday with Quincy Jones.
Oh.
I didn't, but I did. And I'm going to tell you how. Because I was a broke-ass comic with bald tires and bad credit turning 40. And I hadn't really made any sort of inroads or gotten any kind of traction. And I had a boyfriend at the time. And rather than tell me that he loved me or wanted to take care of me or that we should be together, this was his proposal. You should just give up and come live with me because you're not skinny, you're not blonde, you're not what they're looking for. It hasn't happened yet. That was his, which is why my first Showtime special that I got at 48 going on 49 was called Not Skinny, Not Blonde. And
great title.
Thank you. So on my 40th birthday, that was when you could go to Cracker Barrel and get a book on tape, like a Trekker. Oh. And then you, at the next Cracker Barrel, you would turn it in and they'd give you a large credit towards your next book on tape.
Really?
So, yeah, like I had a Toyota 4Runner with a cassette player, and I got the Quincy Jones biography called Q. This is September of 2002. I was turning 40.
Wow.
And I got Q, which was 8 cassettes of him reading his own biography. And at the end of his biography, I was so moved by his story but by his energy, that this guy who's done everything, like people don't know Quincy Jones wrote "It's My Party" and "I'll Cry If I Want to" for Leslie Gore.
Leslie Gore. Wow,
he wrote that song. Like, who would think he wrote that song?
No one.
Not just the theme to Sanford and Sons, not just the producer for
amazing.
Thriller.
Yeah.
Like, you look at him, like, he's done everything. And his life story was amazing. And I was mesmerized. But what I loved about him was because he read it himself, and at the end, he had friends record in their voice about him, because it's like when you get the extras when you buy a DVD. So this one friend of his, who's clearly a little bit cynical and a little jaded, he goes, "Yeah, Quincy always tells everybody he loves them. You can't love everybody. That cat says he loves everybody. He can't love everybody." And he's like, "But I love him." And like, that's so, and what I got out of everything was that no matter what happened to him, he remained curious and loving.
Oh,
curious, wow. Always wanting to grow as an artist, as a talent, he was an A&R man, and they told him about songwriting. Yes. And he wanted to prove that he could write a hit song, and wrote "It's My Party." Like, that's like the whitest chickie, and it was a huge hit. And that was just like his proving, like, oh, you don't think I can do this? Here we go. So the fact, I made a promise to myself on my 40th birthday that I was going to enter the Q zone, that I was going to go into a bubble where I would remain timeless and ageless and eternally optimistic and curious and loving. And I just I get like these, like, "As God is my witness," like Scarlett O'Hara. Like, I want to be like this man. I want to live like this. I want to think like this. I want to be like this. And I think I succeeded because it just touched me so deeply.
I think you did succeed. I mean, you are succeeding, and you're continuing to succeed every day. And what is so interesting to me is because we had another woman in the news recently who is succeeding on a grand scale.
Yeah.
And that was Kamala Harris being nominated to the Democratic presidential candidate. Incredible. And it brought me to this question.
Yes.
I think I asked before to myself a little bit with Hillary Clinton, but I'm asking it now. Do we as a society have a problem with middle-aged women?
Wow.
Wait, define what middle-aged women is.
I used to say it in my act. I said, "I know I look like a middle-aged white woman with good credit, but I'm actually an aging Latina with amazing genes, and I will shank a bitch if I have to."
Better than credit.
Right. But here's the upshot. You asked the perfect question, Brian, because, again, I don't think of myself as any age anymore. I really don't. The last person, I said this on stage in Garland on Saturday night, because I'm not good at math, so I had to get it down to prime numbers. When people go like, "Oh my goodness, that person, the last person I had sex with was half your age, half my age," I was like, "No, he was 7/15 my age. That's less than half." Wow. The last person I saw naked and had a good time with was 7/15 my age.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying. Well, I left him in a fetal position, sleeping in a hotel room.
Well, as long as he wasn't a fetus, I guess.
No, he's very young, but no. But yeah.
Well, we define Brian middle age now. It's between 40 and 65. But I did a big presentation on men in middle age a while back. But it used to be 35 to 59 was considered middle age. But really, there's a big case to be made that middle age really extends to 70. Because
it has to go back because, adolescence was extended to 24 a few years ago.
Oh, I don't know how I missed that one.
Oh, yeah. When I was on KFI, I reported on the story because I wanted to know who picks that. Who decides that you get to live in your parents' basement 4 more years? It's like it's like literally this is my political platform. 4 more years in mom's basement eating Hot Pockets. Like, who gets to pick that? But it's a true story that they extended adolescence to 24 somewhere in 2016, 17.
Wow. So, I mean, I was like in graduate school when I was an adolescent. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a time of transition for women. It's a time of transition for men too. There's menopause that can happen during middle age. There's an emerging self and a coming into one's own. You're your own person finally. And situations like divorce, launching of children, and career success happen when women are often in that time range. That's when it generally happens.
I have so many thoughts on this. I don't even know where to start.
Go ahead.
I don't even know where to go, Dr. Well, first of all, here's the deal.
Yes.
The bottom line is it has nothing to do with a number. Time is a scientific construct. I'm sure you know this.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what happens is somebody was telling me about, people learn, or it was this crazy conversation I was having with a middle-aged woman who was trying to justify being like sad and broke down with no purpose. And she was hanging on to it because people love their sorrow and illnesses. They cling to it like, you have a better time getting a gun or a joint out of somebody's hands than their misery if they really want it. So that being said, I looked at her and I said, it's not that you learn as you get older and you figure stuff out and you make better choices and you look back and go, what was I thinking? Because I don't live that way. I absolutely know that nothing could have gone any other way. I live that way every single day.
Wow.
Nothing could have gone any other way, or I wouldn't be here now, and now is perfect.
Wow.
I live by that. So I looked at her and I said, it's not that you're getting wiser. It's the exact opposite. Children are free. Children believe they're beautiful. Children believe they can be astronauts and ballerinas. I have a very firm belief that the Bible is a series of parables, and that the tree of knowledge and the biting of the apple has nothing. The knowledge is adults telling you this is bad and you can't do this and you won't make a living at that, and that's not a real job, and then you believe it. You bite the apple of brain knowledge versus soul knowledge, and you believe it and you live by it, and then you're effed.
I love that.
And I believe as we get older, we free ourselves. I wrote a whole chapter in my book about how we're spiritual Houdinis, how we hang upside down just trying to get free and right side up, and we run out of time with our hearts broken. But I'm not that person.
Well, I think what you're really touching on, which is so interesting, because there's a study done by University of California, Berkeley Haas School of Business. It was done by 2 female professors. This was in 2022, and there's a follow-up study in 2024. I just want to kind of say that you're right on according to them.
Yeah.
But they said it in a much more scientific-y way.
Yeah, which is confusing and doesn't help anybody.
But they talked about how women are perceived in power positions. And they talked about women, that they're perceived different than men.
Of course
period.
They are. We have boobs. We have a vagine. I wouldn't want to be perceived like you. I have an innie, you have an outie. We're not the same. But here's the thing. Even people that have innies that think they should have outies, or vice versa. It's what your energy projects. I'm a take charge person. So when I worked with John Gray to write Mars, Venus Live, John Gray is a very delicate individual. Like if you met him and had coffee with him, you'd say like, is this guy a little light in the loafers? Nicest guy in the world, by the way. But he wrote one of the best-selling self-help books of all time.
Huge, Brian, if you don't know.
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah, huge.
So I worked with him to write Mars, Venus Live. And about 3 hours into a conversation in a restaurant in Walnut Creek, he said, don't take this wrong, but you have a lot of man energy. And I knew he was speaking from an old paradigm. So I let him finish. Like, what does that mean to you? You're decisive. You're not like women tend to stay in the minutia because we're detail oriented. And that same behavioral trait probably is what leads us into being more petty or more gossipy or more involved in other people's lives. It's a machine, and the machine's going to do what it does unless you train it to stick to like, yeah, I like being detail oriented. I don't like gossip, or I like being. So the upshot is, I know he meant it as a compliment. I was not even remotely offended, but I don't have man traits. I have strong woman traits.
Yes. And let's talk, because I really was floored by this research, because it talks about that it's not just, you've managed to break through the paradigm that you talked about. I never
believed in the paradigm.
Well, good for you. Good.
I was ahead of the game.
You were ahead of the game.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I started in the gay bars of South Beach in the early 90s is where I started my comedy. And one of the things that I didn't plan this, it's just the way I work, the way my machine works, was that I would always talk about, even back then, like sexuality being on a continuum, and that people are at different ends. And, lucky those of us that are in the 90 percentile that know exactly what we want when we wake up. Yeah. Whatever the thing is, we know. We wake up, we're like, me, I like the wiener, like whatever it is, But here's what's interesting is that when I would get interviewed in like big newspapers like Miami Herald, whatever, they'd say, it must be so hard being a female comedian. And I'd say, I have no frame of reference of what it is to be a male comedian. Do you understand that each person is an individual? And when you ask them something connected to gender or experience, you're not going to possibly get a legitimate answer because they have no other frame of reference. I've never been a man. I don't know what that looks or feels like.
Yeah, no, I get you, because it's very interesting to see. The thing that was so interesting to me about this research is that women are perceived as more capable and effective as they get older, but also so are men. But women suffer from one thing, that their likability declines as they get older.
Oh my God. It's not their likability. Their people-pleasing desires end. They stop kissing ass and start talking straight.
You know what? I absolutely believe that's what it is.
Of course that's what it is.
They did a study that said female professors' evaluations quickly decline from a high point in their 30s when the women are in their 30s. And this is across the board. And it goes to a low point when they're 47.
And the person doing the whatever it is, the survey, what is it called? Evaluation?
Yeah,
no longer wants to give them the wood. Like, at the end of the day, look at Brian's face. We are unconscious animals. Our unconscious runs our game. You're a psychologist, you know that.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that my quote-unquote likability hasn't declined is because I emit whatever that chemical is. It says, I like sex. I want sex. I'll have sex with you under certain circumstances. I think that what happens with women is their libido declines because they are worn out. They've made bad choices. The women give up
so much.
People don't realize that the libido shock. Am I talking too much?
I love it. No, you kidding?
People don't realize that the creative chakra, and when people say libido, they think it's sex. It's not. It's your life force. It's what drives us forward. It's why people left the cave. So your chakra, your creativity chakra, and your and your libido are the same chakra. So that's why people that are creative and in the game, that's why you hear about these old guys in Hollywood that are still banging hot young chicks, is because they're in the game. They're producing. They're doing, they're Ian, that guy, on Tombstone when he's like 70 something years old. And I'm looking at that guy and I'm thinking, or Deadwood, I'm like, that guy's got anything but Deadwood. Like, I would totally bang that guy. And it sounds terrible, but it really, when they say women are less likable, change the word with bangable, because it really comes down to the fact that it's not that our libido, am I saying horrible things? The look on your face.
Are you kidding? No, you just brought up this book that basically this woman wrote in 2023 called Hags. And then this book.
What a great, horrible title.
Yeah, it's called Hags, The Demonization of Middle-Aged Women by Victoria Smith. It's a British book. Mm-hmm. She said women are perceived through the 3F lenses.
Okay.
She said the 3 Fs are fertility, femininity, and fuckability.
Amen. I'm not fertile. I've been through menopause, which, by the way, I didn't even notice it was happening, because I believe that a lot of that sexual trauma where people have like horrible periods and bad cramps and horrible menopause, I think so much of that is psychological and being not comfortable with your womanhood and your femininity. I know I'm going to get probably hate mail because of this.
What?
But because of the fact that I'm saying it's very hard for women to come to terms with their bodies and what they're used for and how they should be used and how they should enjoy them and love them and be cool with them, whether they're bleeding or not bleeding or puffy or not puffy, whatever it is. And if I could literally stand with a megaphone in the middle of Hollywood and say, stop pretending to be sexy and actually have sex. Half of the people you see running around in bandage dresses with lips that look like baboons' asses, they wouldn't know what to do with a set of balls if they were like on their eyes. And I'm the like I look at men. I am so
Go for it.
I am so busted.
No,
I
I love
literally,
it.
just to pass the time in the airport, I will look at every single man about to board a flight with me and say, what would it take for me to bang him? And then I go like, okay, he'd have to be really, really rich. We'd have to be on an island. But there's very few men
No one
where
else
I would
around.
say, there's
No other
very
choice.
few men where I would say, absolutely, there's no way. Because there's a weird thing about me that I feel like you can connect with almost anybody under certain circumstances. But then there's people where, like today, I saw this old dude with flip-flops in Houston, but he had a great smile. And I thought, if we were in a pretty dark room and he took those shoes off, but I mean, I must have some kind of uber super libido. But I think it's because it's a muscle. I use it. I'm constantly, and I'm not going to lie to you people, it's been a minute since I've done it. But I think about it, and I'm excited about it. And I think about when women think about, oh, I'm excited to see what I'm going to eat for dinner. I'm like, I can't wait to see the next winner. Like, I don't know whose it is. I don't have any suspects. I'm completely out to sea with it. But, when I get closer to land and I'm thinking, oh, that's going to be the one. Like, it's fun. It's fun. When did we become these people that just made everything a hair shirt? Like, food isn't fun and sex isn't fun, and like when did that sneak up on us?
I love how excited you are about life. Just like everything about life. You're just so
And
excited
sex.
about it,
I am very excited about sex. I'm not going to lie to you, Dr. Greg. I imagine you sometimes. I don't want to be unkind. I know you have a person. It's
That
not
is the
nice.
most flattering thing I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, because I have a lot
thank you.
of men that are nature's bachelors that have said to me, if I was going to be with one woman, it would be you. Like, I've heard that bajillion times since I was in my 20s. So finally I asked my friend Chris, who lives in Houston, as a matter of fact, I said, Chris, why do you think men say that? Well, this is a reference that's going to definitely age everyone who gets it. But he said, I think it's because all men, gay or straight, know that if they're going to ride you, you're the E-ticket in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Does that age us? The E-ticket.
The E-ticket
That
in
was
Disneyland.
Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean. That was
It was the best one.
That was
and
back
you
when-
only got a few.
Yeah.
You only got, so you had to really
You had
like,
to pick or go to the
pick.
kiosk.
Yeah.
You always had leftover A's because the
Tons.
merry-go-round
No one
and the
wanted 'em.
teacup.
Yeah.
But you'd have to go back to the kiosk and buy extra E's if you wanted to write all the E's. So that was the most flattering thing that was ever said to me. He says, I think even the gayest of gay men would be like, oh, yeah, that's the E-ticket.
she's the E-ticket.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. That's good. It's good to have a good Disney reference there.
Absolutely.
So in the study, they looked at something called agency versus warmth. This was interesting to me because in business, they always rebrand things, because in psychology, we call
please.
it dominance over warmth. But I guess they couldn't say dominance.
Why? It's such a good word.
It's a great word because
Look at Brian.
it really says the cross.
Brian's
here.
enjoying this show.
I always love when you're here. That's what I'm like. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're talking to our friend, honestly.
But you are my
Yeah.
friends.
Well, yes.
I look forward to it.
So agency is similar to power, and it's associated more with men, and they're seen as more capable and assertive, where warmth is similar to status, and it's more associated with women, more caring, nice, helpful, like someone we really want to be with, want to know. So what's interesting is, and we talked about that women who get older but also are more successful are perceived as less likable. That's what caused me to be concerned about Kamala Harris. And I thought what was so... Did you see her speech by any way?
Of course.
I thought she did a spot-on job.
Remarkable.
I was kind of blown away by...
Remarkable. She was the anti-Hillary.
She really was. And what do you think was there? Because I agree with you.
I'm going to tell you what challenged me about Hillary. Is that I wasn't wanting her to suck up. I just didn't want her to assume. Like, it ain't over till it's over. And I will tell you something about me personally, is that I know how blessed I am to be where I am. I know it. I know it like I know my name. I'm living a dream. So, I will stand outside of the showroom in Garland, Texas, and say hello and take a picture and hug every single person until they've left and walked to their cars. And there's been times where they want to shut the theater. Well, they're literally the people running the gig will like shoo people because they're like, okay, Miss Marvez has to get paid now. We got to have a meeting, because they don't want to stay as late as I'm willing to stay. And I think that it's not about likability. It's about connection. They're not the same thing.
No, I agree.
Hillary did not connect ever at any time. Nothing about her said, you know what, I bet if we met, like I'm going to give you she's the Barbra Streisand of politics. I adore Barbra Streisand. I saw her in concert at the Staples Center. I cried like a bitch in prison. I adore her. When she started singing The Way We Were, I was verklempt. But the thing is,
yeah, she's amazing.
I have no interest in eating lunch with Barbra Streisand.
No, that's true.
No, she's cloned her dog. Are you kidding me? She has an antique store in the basement of her house. She pretends that she's running a store in her basement of her house. Like, I have zero interest in meeting Barbra Streisand. And I adore her. And I've loved her since I was a child.
Oh, me too. But what about Cher, by the way?
Cher's almost jumping the shark. She's putting on the water skis like the Fonz. Like she's almost. But I do love her.
I love her. But
and
she's someone I'd want to eat lunch with.
I would eat lunch with her now.
She's someone I'd have lunch with. That's why I asked.
Yeah. I would.
But that flavor.
And to be honest with you, Oprah was somebody that I couldn't wait to meet. And now it's like if it happened, it'd be cool. But I'm not. She's moved into a zone where it's no longer a big thing for me. Wow. Because when I meet people when I met Diana Nyad, who's a personal idol, she was better. Wow. I loved her so. May I tell the story about Diana Nyad?
Oh, please.
It's a short one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say it because.
So let's talk about who she is. She swam the English Channel.
I'm all ready to say this story.
Sorry. She swam to Cuba, right? Didn't she?
I got the goods on Diana Nyad. First of all, Diana Nyad is from Florida.
Oh, yeah.
And she used to train at the University of Miami pool. And her first attempt to swim from Cuba was when I was in 10th grade. Okay? That was her first attempt, right? I'm telling you this for a reason. Because a lot of people love a lot of people. But, I mean, she swam, remember the bicentennial? She swam around Staten Island. Like, she swam the English Channel. Like, she was, when they talk about ultra marathons and long distance, she was the definition of ultra athlete before that was even a thing, right? I absolutely adore her. I always have. Something about her determination, because we had a pool in the backyard and I would swim laps when I was 14, 15 years old. I would pretend I was Diana Nyad.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So I love her. This is not like a casual thing, right? So, P.S., years later, I'm on the air on KFI filling in for someone. It's the summer of 2013, and she's completing the swim. And we have the TV set on in the station. I'm watching her and talking in real time about her, my love of her, how she had the shark cage around her one time on one of her attempts, how she got bitten by a boxer jellyfish. Ooh. Like the doctor that was trying to save her got bit and he almost died and they couldn't get her to get out of the water, right? By the way, her book, The Other Shore, her book's called Find a Way, and her documentary, not the movie, the documentary is called The Other Shore. But I digress. So Diana Nyad, I'm watching it live. She's in her 60s. It's the summer of 2013, and she's about to hit the shore. And Bonnie, her lady, is waiting. You can't touch them until they reach a certain level, or the record doesn't stand. So she's barely walking out of the water. People are all around her, but no one can touch her. And I'm sobbing. I am crying. And I just leaned into the mic, and I had one of those moments where I just really don't care, which is most of my life. And I said, "This woman started swimming when I was 13 and I first got my period. I am perimenopausal and this bitch is still swimming. She has been swimming my entire adult life as a woman. I love her." I was sobbing, right? And you can see my producer looked at me, but you can say the B word if I kept saying it over and over. But but I said, I am coining a term, nyadding it. It's a verb. When you do something late in life that you're proud of, that you worked on, that you didn't think you could do, you're naiading it. I said, I am naiading life. I lost my mind, right? Because I was so inspired. So P.S., I decided to run a Disney half marathon, and I think it was like 10K. It was like a weekend where the Tinkerbell Challenge, where you ran 2 races, and then you would get 3 medals, 1 for each race, and here I am, like I'm 50 something years old, and I'm like, I'm gonna run I can do this. Diana and I just swam from Cuba. I'm gonna run so I, by chance, I ran into her at a party for Betsy Johnson's swimwear at a hotel.
No.
Hand to God, because that's how I manifest when I get obsessed, right? So, you manifest when you get obsessed. Good to know. So I'm at this party, and I love Betsy Johnson also.
Well, they say obsession. Well, I think obsession is praying for something to happen.
Oh, I get obsessed.
There you go.
So, and Betsy Johnson does handstands in her 70s. Like, she's known to go down the runway doing handstands. So anyway, so I see this small blondish woman. She's not big. She don't have big shoulders. She's not big. Small. And I walk over. I go, you look very familiar to me. I said, may I ask your name? She goes, Diana. I go, Diana what? She goes, Diana Nyad. I froze. I flipped out. I've met everybody. I've had Lily Tomlin tell me that she likes my work. You know what I mean? Like, I've met everybody. Diana Nyad. I'm Diana Nyad. Oh my God. Oh, shut the front door. I go. She goes, I'm Diana Nyad. I go, no, you're not. She goes, oh, yes, I am. So then I just told her who she was to me and what she meant to me. And I was like, is there any chance at all that I could get you to be on my show on KFI to talk about, doing goals, anything like? And she said, yeah, of course, contact them. And then this woman comes over. She goes, I go, don't pretend I don't know who you are. You're Bonnie. You're her partner. You're the wind beneath her wings. So she's like, talk to Bonnie. So I had her on my show, and we became friends, and all the whole time she's talking to me lovingly and politely and telling me that she loves the show, and I'm thinking, Diana Nyad likes me. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, as I'm saying it out loud to you, I still haven't gotten over it. Like, I ran into her on Larchmont and I said, Diana, how are you? And even just being able to do it, I'm thinking, I'm talking to Diana Nyad like I know her, because I do. And she says, she goes, oh, you must have heard about the movie. I was like, no. She says, oh yeah, Jodie Foster came out of retirement and we're making a movie. It's gonna be on that. They're like, I'm talking obviously a while back. And I wanted to sit down and sob, because now people know who she is. More people.
Oh yeah.
Everyone should know who she is. Yeah. Everyone. But can I tell you my favorite part?
What?
That I watched her when I had a terrible breakup from a man I love very, very, very much, 10 years ago, well, 11. That was when her documentary, The Other Shore, came out. And my girlfriend Tina called me and she goes, I know what you need. I said, what? She goes, you need some Trader Joe's spinach dip and Diana Nyad's documentary. and I went to her house and we held hands, like girls do, and I watched the documentary and cried. And when the documentary was over, my heartbreak was gone. It was it was like medicine. Wow. I was done. I was like, okay, on to better things. Like, it was done, right? Done. But in the documentary, keep in mind, this is way before Me Too. This is 2013. She talks about her swim coach molesting her. And she's sitting on a stool, like, talking into camera, like, just mind blown, right? And she talks about how she was very strong, how she could have pushed him off, how she had mixed emotions, how she felt guilt. I mean, she was the most vulnerable, naked, open, honest. He told her, like, I need this, Diana, and she, and like, it was so brave the way she revealed it and how plain and honest. And obviously at the end of the documentary, like, Coach so-and-so was reached for comment, which it's true. So when I met her on the show, I waited and we said all these good things. And I said, you want me to tell you the best thing you ever did? The bravest, the thing that really made my heart stop in my chest? She said, what? And I said, when you talked about your coach molesting you, I said, do you know how many people were probably freed by you speaking that way? And she was so touched but it's the truth. Like, okay, you get bitten potentially by a shark, whatever, like, that could happen to anyone, but if you're swimming in Florida waters. But to honestly reveal something,
yeah, you're right,
from your perspective, to even say the guilt, the self-questioning, why didn't I stop it? Why didn't, I couldn't believe I'm watching this documentary and my mind is blown at her courage and her bravery and her determination. And then I realized every person, woman, person just wants to be free and find their way to freedom. And we swim to freedom, and we joke to freedom, and we study to freedom, and we spend to freedom, and we snort to freedom, and we smoke to freedom, which doesn't make you free. But the point I'm making is everyone wants to go back to being that kid before they knew what they couldn't or shouldn't or wouldn't do, either by an adult that cramped their style by telling them something with love, or an adult that cramped their style by doing something from a nefarious, malevolent place.
And I think that's why this study, so powerful, thank you, but this study kind of really called up a lot for me in reading this and thinking about women in power today. Women who try to put themselves out there like Diana Nyad has, like you are,
thank you.
like Kamala Harris is, and like so many other women who are pushing through the glass ceiling, etc., is because they have to face more than men do, which is kind of fascinating to me in the sense that they have to face bursting through that unlikability that comes from a woman. Yeah, that perception of unlikability.
Correct.
Because then, by the way, that study also showed that things even out again between men and women in their 60s. So then by then we're like, okay with things.
Because men aren't as intimidated because they made it.
Men aren't as intimidated, and women are not seen, I guess, as threatening.
Well, and their wieners aren't working as well, so they can actually think.
But women fear that backlash, and it makes the women hold back.
Not me.
Not you. But I think that's an important lesson.
I think it's unnatural
from this study
for human beings, male or female, to care. If you're on your game and you know in your soul that you're doing the right thing and you're exactly who you're supposed to be. I have never seen a documentary narrated by David Attenborough, the best, where a lioness looks up and looks around and goes, is anyone in the pride, thinking I look fat in this fur? Does anybody have any advice how I should feed my cubs? Can you, comments below. What should I name my last baby cub? Comments below. No. You're just a lioness. You wake up, you have some cubs, you kill some stuff, you grab them by the neck, you go, hey, eat that. It's going to be good for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's unnatural to go around constantly letting other people decide how you feel about you.
That's so beautiful. Seriously. And a lot of people don't think that way. That's the sad part, that society's kind of shaped us to be like that.
Well, Brian, we, according to these studies, also view women, we don't ding women for seeking status. And status would be like, we don't ding them for like getting likes on social media. We don't ding them for wanting to be popular. We don't ding them.
Because it's people pleasing.
We want them to be that because it is people pleasing. Because they are perceived as more connectable, more likable. No, this is the truth. And men, we do ding for that. But we don't ding them. We actually hold them up for seeking power, for seeking to control the resources. Yeah, which is fascinating.
I love that you let me just come hijack your show once a month. I
love
you
it
so much for it, but I have a bit in my act that's rather harsh, so I don't do it because I want to soften it. I want to figure it out.
Oh.
Because I'm not a harsh person. But social media is just a new form of tech colonization. It's just enslavement. You have 5 white guys at the top.
Mm-hmm.
You have Elon and Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos,
Mm-hmm.
and these are literally like Epstein Island rejects that have created a construct where young women are back to Thunderdome of, oh, you're going to show your butt? Well, I'm going to show my butt and my boobs. Oh, really? You're going to show your butt and your boobs? I'm going to show my butt and my boobs and be making a lewd gesture. Oh, I got you. You know what I mean? Like they have created this Thunderdome of young women pitted against each other, while these guys who wouldn't know warmth, likability, decency, I mean, in all due respect to to the women that are involved with these men. For all I know, Zuckerberg's wife is lovely, or whatever. Melinda Gates got out; she had half a brain. But the point I'm making,
she seems lovely. She actually seemed pretty amazing.
And Lauren Sanchez, I'm sure, was lovely, but I don't know what she's done to her face. But woo!
Really? Because she was gorgeous.
Bezos' chick?
Yeah, the one he left his wife to marry.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Well, guess what? She's going down Melanie Griffith Lane real fast.
Oh, wow. That's a surprise.
It is
such a beautiful woman.
And I say this because it's never too late. You know what I mean? That stuff softens up whatever. She might have just had it done. I'm not here to I'm not here to slut shame or abuse other women. That's not my gig. Mm-hmm. It's the opposite. It's good on you that at your age you're still beautiful. You look amazing in a bikini. I'm happy to see you all over Bezos' yacht. But don't kid yourself. He is not about us. He is not about women. He is not about people in general, which women happen to be people. And, it saddens me to see that the construct of social media is pitting young women against each other in the unhealthiest of ways.
How interesting, because what you're talking about is Lauren Sanchez is representing seeking status. And Jeff Bezos seeking power. And you can see how those two things face off with one another.
Mm-hmm. And she looks amazing in a bikini. I got nothing to say. But she's definitely done a little of the zhuzhing. And I've seen older pictures of her, and the zhuzhing wasn't necessary. She's beautiful. Of course, he's Jeff Bezos. He's not going to be like, you know what? I'm going to marry I'm going to marry a chick for her personality. Like, give me that one in the Birkenstocks with the mole hair. No, that's not happening.
No,
I get
didn't see that happening. Well, the thing that's kind of also interesting is how people move on to new wives, because status is more easily lost than power.
Hilarious.
Yeah, because they will now see someone who may be older or whatever. Now she's lost what they see as status. Oh, she's no longer
because I
trophy.
say it in my act.
You do.
I say it in my act. I have a whole bit about how men will date a woman who is dumb as a sack of hammers if she's beautiful, because she's an extension of him. Like, look at me. I'm very, very famous or rich or known or powerful, and I have a Lambo or Aston Martin. I got a big house, and I have her. Like, she's just part of the sentence. It used to be behind every great man there's a great woman or whatever like that. No, it's like inside every great man's garage is a Lamborghini with a half-naked chick taking selfies on it. You know what I mean? Like that's the new, and it's so funny to me because I have a bit, which I did do in front of you, where I talk about, for me, it's about connection. Mm. And I say that on my next date, between the appetizer and the entree, I'm going to look dead in the eye and say, my name is Inigo Montoya. And if he says, you killed my father, prepare to die, that's my guy, because he knows my movies, But yeah, it's you nailed it. Is that, a guy doesn't want people to look at his wife and say like, wow, good for you. He's definitely banging his secretary. You know what I mean? Which is, I mean, we heard it all during the Bush administration. How many times did people call Barbara Bush the Quaker Oats man?
Yeah, they did.
Mean.
People were cruel. This is the first George
You're very
W.
young, Brian. But whether you like him or not, or vote for him or not, God bless him. Yeah. He's married to his original wife, and they seem to have a good thing going. And and that poor woman just got beat up from the feet up.
Yeah, because she
looks like the Quaker Oats
She
man.
embraced her age. But
she embraced her age.
Yeah,
I like that.
Did.
That's so much nicer than Quaker Oats man. So much more PC.
So the authors actually had some advice based on the research of overcoming the bias for women, which I thought was kind of nice. It's important to embrace competence without apology, and effective strategies showing your personality and showing your humanity, which I think you do.
I would like you to put that in normal person driving a Chevy Nova speak.
Okay. So it's important. It's important to wrap your arms around your gifts, whatever those are, your skills, your accomplishments, everything, and don't apologize for it. Say, I am here. This is what I've done.
We're back to square one.
And to show your personality and humanity, being like, show who you are. Like, be the person you are without apology. I actually think it's great that Kamala laughs. Yeah.
I think this is one of you've nailed it, and it's biblical. The bitter root. I think a lot of women have a hard time letting go of what they believe to be bad decisions.
Yeah.
Which is why I always say everything went right. You know, it couldn't have gone any other way, or I wouldn't be here. And I think what happens isn't that they're apologetic or that they're not embracing their gifts. I think a lot of women become free. And in their freedom, like that old, back in the 80s, it was like, I will wear purple when I'm old. I'm like, what are you waiting for? I wear purple now. Like, I wear a prom dress to pay my light bill. You know, like, I'm crazy like that. But the point I'm making is that, you know, I think that sometimes when they're actually living a life that makes them happy, they're bitter they didn't start sooner. And they have a very hard time letting go. I think a lot of women over in their late 40s even and early 50s they become as bitter as they are free and accomplished. And that's a bad mix. That's a bad thing to put in the cocktail. I can't tell you how many emails I get from women who say, you know, I'm 38 and social media this is a real email I got. Social media made me feel that at 38 I needed a brow lift. And You're out there embracing your age, saying your age, you know, not zhuzhing up your face. And thank you. I can't be, when this clip went viral, and I've told you that this clip went viral, and the joke, the irony is I've never looked worse. It was a few months after my brother died. I'd gained weight. My face was puffy. The lighting was bad. I already told you some guy printed she used to be hot. What happened to her face, like right under the video. For real. And I said grief and bad lighting. I mean, I don't care. You know, and somebody else said something. Anyway, the long and the short of it is I cannot begin to tell you how many emails I've gotten from women age 45 to 70 saying, just God bless you just for saying your age on stage. The fact that
Absolutely.
You don't hide who you are or how old you are.
Absolutely.
I say it every single night when I'm on stage. I say my age. I used to have like a whole countdown going. Now I just say 61 3/4, but it's really 61 11/12. But you know, but the upshot is it's just a number. Time is a construct. It doesn't mean anything except what you put on it. And if that makes you bitter that you're closer to the, like, I'm the opposite. Not only am I not bitter that I'm closer to the finish line than the starting gun, I'm becoming like spiritual Tinder. Like, yes, no, yes, no. Like, I waste no time. I suffer no fools. My whole life is all about, like, what fun am I having next? You know?
Well, Monique.
Yes.
We could talk forever about all of this. There's
my goodness.
so much to talk about, but unfortunately we have to go. Hey, it reminds us to like, subscribe, give us 5 stars. Links to these studies at my YouTube page, youtube.com/Dr. Greg, DRGREG. And so I'm going to say we're going to go out with Monique's outro. So this is Dr. Greg, Brian, and the incomparable Monique Marvez bidding you farewell. We're going to go Monique's special outro. Do you know it, Brian?
I feel like I do.
Okay, we're gonna all do it together.
Okay. Love hard, forgive harder, and get
as happy as you can, as fast as you can. Thank you all so much. It was great. Have a good one. Be present, be kind, and all that sort of stuff. Bye-bye.
You're so wonderful.